two of the finest blitz players in the world of chess, Hikaru Nakamura and Magnus Carlsen, take on each other. A handshake and off we go. D4 by Hikaru. Magnus takes his time for the first move and then decides that he wants to play D5. C4, we have the Queen's Gambit and Slav on the board. Knight F6, E3 played, and Magnus goes for the semi-Slav. Hikaru brings his knight to D2. Generally, you put your knight on C3 in such positions, but knight D2 has made Magnus think for a bit because it's not the main move. Although there are more than 4,000 games in this position as well, Magnus goes for B6. He wants to develop the problem bishop for black because all his pawns are on light squares. This bishop is passive. He wants to get it out on B7. Hikaru plays his bishop out. Bishop to B7 by Magnus. And I think it's time to castle it out for Hikaru. So while Hikaru has gone for a very steady setup, Magnus is still 2 moves away from getting his king castled, and that's the reason why Hikaru opens up the position. Makes complete sense, and in fact this is a very nice position for white out of the opening. Magnus takes the pawn, knight takes on E4, and now the pieces are well positioned. This bishop can actually move out. The bishop on D3 is angling on this diagonal, and also you have good center control. At some point, you can also play B3 and bishop B2. And that's the reason why Magnus here is being careful that he doesn't land up in a very inferior position. He takes the knight, bishop takes, and now generally, if black can get a successful C5 in this position, he would be doing pretty well. However, right now the bishop is hanging, so you cannot play the pawn up to C5. It makes sense to actually kick the bishop here, but then the bishop would simply go back to the C2 square. And that's the reason why Magnus goes bishop D6. He keeps his knight on the D7 square, develops his bishop, preparing short castling, also can get the queen out and angle towards Hikaru's king side. Hikaru Nakamura plays his queen up to E2. The queen is well positioned here, looking at the king, also defending the bishop just in case. And if you castle now, of course there are some tactics that you have to look at with bishop takes h7, but they are not working. Knight g5 could also be an idea. So Magnus can castle, but look at his time. He's already 1 minute down as compared to Hikaru. Plays his queen up to c7. And now this bishop and queen battery is looking in that direction, although the pawn is comfortably defended by the knight. At some point, Hikaru has to decide how to meet it, because Magnus's main idea is to play c5 here. If he gets that, he would be doing pretty fine. And this bishop and queen battery is also pretty strong. So a very good idea here is put the bishop on g5, bring it to h4 and then to g3. It's not an easy idea to think about, but it is very interesting. Other plans can include going a3 followed by b4, gaining space, but you are not really stopping the c5 move as such. And that's the reason why Hikaru has taken a good solid minute here to figure out what he should be doing. And he plays his bishop to g5. Excellent move. Magnus pushes the bishop away. The bishop goes to h4 and now he castles it out. So very stable play by both sides. Now c5 is really on the cards at some point. Although when you play your pawn up to c5, you do have to look at d5 options for white getting a passed pawn. And right now Hikaru has gone 10 seconds below Magnus's time, but he still has 3 minutes 20 seconds. It's a question of where do you want to put your rooks. C1, D1, he goes rook A, D1. And that means his other rook will most likely go to E1 square. Now can Magnus push his pawn to C5? The problem is after I take, and now I take here, the bishop is hanging. And if you take back with the bishop, I play my rook up. I'm trying to double down here. Also my bishop is well placed, the rook can swing over. So suddenly the position can get very nasty in this. So Magnus has to be careful. The move that he wants might not be the best. So he goes rook e8. Very smart move. And the point is, now the rook is standing opposite the white queen. Hikaru quickly plays his bishop to g3. That is a very logical move by Hikaru, and Magnus chops it off, and Hikaru was instantly going to take h takes g3, because you know, when you capture towards the center, it's always very logical, but now he takes his time. He's like, if I take with the f pawn, my rook will open up here, and also notice that Magnus has moved his rook away from f8, so perhaps the f7 point is slightly soft. Can I take it? And that's the reason why Hikaru is actually considering to take with his f pawn. That would be a very unconventional decision, and he takes it. Amazing. But now Magnus is doing pretty well. Okay, if you are Magnus in this position, what would you do? Think about it. One idea clearly, which really is calling itself out, is to play c5. Because then after bishop b7, queen b7, there's no bishop also hanging on d6. I really like this move c5. Okay, if you don't want to activate your bishop, what else would you do? Of course e5. e5 looks also a phenomenal move, and black is doing fine. The other option can also be f5, because then the bishop has to go back, and next move you open this up with c5. So there are so many attractive options for Magnus Carlsen that I guess he's a bit confused there. He definitely understands that his position is good, but look at his time. He's down to 2 minutes 15 seconds. Generally, Magnus does not think so much. He sees a good move, he makes it. But here, somehow, he is not very sure in which way to continue. c5, e5, and you can see there, he wanted to push his pawn, but now he just waited in his tracks. There's something about this position he does not like. Is it that c5 is met with d5? It can't be. It just opens up the rook to the queen. That's a terrible move. Well, then why not c5, Magnus? No, he goes rook a d8. And this actually gives Hikaru some attacking possibilities. You know how? He can go g4. And his idea is, next move to go g5. Imagine you make a waiting move. I simply push, knight jumps in, rook is here, bishop is here, queen is here. It would be insane attack. Will Hikaru push his pawn forward with g4 and g5? That would be a very big attacking possibility for him. Also, he can go b4, because that move simply stops in some way the move c5. But Hikaru also taking his time. Both players are actually finding this position slightly tricky to move forward, and that's the reason why they are taking quite a bit of time. Hikaru down to 2 minutes, and now Magnus has 1 minute 46 seconds. What is Hikaru thinking? Because his rook is well placed. Is he thinking about moving his knight to e5? Could be possible. Could be possible to play knight e5, but that also doesn't seem right somehow. You know, you go with your knight here, I simply take, I exchange the rooks, it doesn't look great. You're exchanging pieces, white has many weaknesses. Well, Hikaru down to 1 minute 30 seconds, he needs to make a move. Oh my god, he sacrificed a pawn. He's gone c5, and he tells Magnus, your bishop is really bad, but Magnus says, I don't care, and instantly he goes g4. Oh, now I get the idea. The idea was to shut down this bishop so that he cannot exchange it. Keep your bishop on this square for a few moves and go g4, g5. Wow, that was the idea of Hikaru Nakamura. Although the engines seem to hate it, I think with just 1 minute 20 seconds, it's a perfect decision. Now Magnus has a great defense. You take the pawn, and when he pushes here, oh, he took it, and Hikaru pushes forward. Now Magnus must find knight c5, because that prepares bishop a6. It's not an easy move, because you take here, bishop a6, black is actually really better here. No, but to play knight c5 requires nerves of steel, because you are weakening your king side. And Magnus is down to 57 seconds. Hikaru has actually chosen this attack very smartly. Objectively, he's busted here. But with the clock ticking down, it's not going to be easy for Magnus to find all the defensive moves. Knight c5 is the best move, but after that the next best is c5, and Magnus plays it. He's offering the bishops to be traded. Hikaru takes the kingside pawn. Magnus takes it back. Now look at this king. It's completely exposed. If only the queen can jump in here, the rook is looking. The knight has to move away somewhere. But how do you do? The other rook can also swing over this way. He goes knight d2. Very interesting move. because now the queen is coming up, the rook is looking here, but black has a very powerful move, f5. Can Magnus find it? Yes, he finds it. He's completely winning this game, and Hikaru Nakamura in big trouble. Now, if you were to take here, queen takes and move in with your queen, a simple move is knight f6, bringing your queen in here, but Hikaru goes directly queen h5, and he's telling Magnus that if you take this piece, then after queen g6, it's a draw. It's a draw in the position. So Magnus goes knight f8, opening up his queen to this rank. What is Hikaru going to play now? He takes on b7. Magnus takes it back. Magnus has currently 2 extra pawns in the position, and if he gets his queen here, it would be game over. But look at Hikaru. He's swinging his rook over here. Magnus has to find rook e7, which is the best defense, but he goes king h7. And now can Hikaru find this killer blow, knight e4? The point is, if you take with the pawn, that is rook f7, finds it. What a move by Hikaru Nakamura. You can't take here because this is checkmate, king h8, rook g3. It's a checkmate here. And if you were to take with the pawn, rook f7 is game over. What a move. Hikaru finds an amazing move. Magnus goes rook e7. He's clearly in trouble with 13 seconds left. Now, Hikaru has many options. He can swing his rook over here. He can go knight g5 check. Maybe even knight f6 check is in the air. There are many options. What does he do? Look at Hikaru. He's just trying to figure out if there's a killing shot there. Knight g5 check. King comes to g7, brings his rook forward. Whoa, this is looking like a clear mating attack. But Hikaru can't find the mate. He's trying his best. Should he take with the queen? Should he take with the rook? What should he do? Because rook takes king f6. In fact, the black king is running away. If you even give this check, the king can come up right out in the board. No, he takes with the queen. King f7, check. King up, check. And you can see Hikaru, he can't find more than a draw. He's shaking his head. He's like, no, there should be more here. There should be a mating attack. Maybe rook g8. Somehow rook g7 check. No, he gives a check. Magnus brings his king up. The position is in fact a draw. Gives a check and agrees to a draw. Whoa! Jan Nepomniachtchi comes in and says, why didn't you go rook g8? And Magnus shows maybe there is e5, because if you give a check, my king can come up. And so maybe that position is just a draw. What a fight between these two legendary players. It was an epic fight that ended in a draw. Amazing chess.